Hi kids, welcome to today's wonderful session. This is Sweta Roy, your English master teacher at Vedantu, and today we will be dealing with a great poem which is A Tiger in the Zoo from your NCERT class 10. And yes, this poem is a very powerful poem carrying a great message, a powerful message for all of us. And we are surely looking forward to have a change in our mindset. Now, what change in our mindset that we will know when we are going to delve into this poem. So let us begin today's amazing session. And yes, I'm also going to read the poem out to you. So please keep the poem in front of you, right? So let's move ahead. Before moving ahead, again, I would like to, remind you about the guest. So any guesses? Many of you have come up with so many guesses. So yes, keep guessing till actually we can meet this achiever who has been named as one of the 100 most influential people by Time magazine. So who is she? So keep guessing, guys, keep guessing, and please do put forward your guesses in the comment section as well. Okay, so again, I'm going to remind you about Vedantu Pro Subscription. So if you haven't yet subscribed and thinking of subscribing, so please go ahead and do subscribe. The link is available in the description box. You can use the teacher code SWRPRO and you will, you can avail a discount of 2699, right? So the discount price after using the code SWRPRO would be 2699. So please do, join our family, Vedantu family. Many of you I see in YouTube, many of the students are already a part of Vedantu family. So you can really, ask about their experience, how they feel being a part of Vedantu family. Definitely you can also join us. You have the opportunity to join us and follow these simple steps to join us and become a member of Vedantu family. Select grade, select target, get subscription, and fourth is just choose your plan. You can, have this 1 month plan. You can subscribe yourself for this 1 month. And yes, that is only for 2699 if you apply the code SWRPRO. And we have the following features: live interactive classes by India's best master teachers, personalized attention in class, and full recordings of all classes along with notes, assignments, tests, and more. And also you would have complete curriculum, structured long-term batch which is in sync with your curriculum, chapter-wise micro course, and complete crash course. The best part is that you can choose your own study plan and curriculum. Also, you would have test series, assignments, learning materials, regular performance reports. So now we will start with a wonderful poem that is The Tiger in the Zoo. Now, when you read the very title, The Tiger in the Zoo, what thoughts come up in your mind? First of all, it is a poem by George Leslie Norris. So let us see a little bit about the poet before moving on, moving ahead with the session with the poem itself. So George Leslie Norris is actually a Welsh poet and he's also a short story writer. He's also considered as one of the most important Welsh writers and of the post-war period. And his literary works have won many prizes. So now, as I told you, as I asked you, a tiger in the zoo, when you read this title, what thoughts come up in your mind? What can you imagine? A tiger in a zoo, right? So how many of you have visited zoo? Please do write in the chat box below. I think many of you have visited zoo, right? Even I have visited zoo when I was like you, like I was your age, right? So what is the usual picture that you like, usual scenario that you see in zoo? What do you see in zoo? You see the animals, right? Have you ever thought about how do the animals feel inside the zoo? Are they happy? Do they enjoy themselves? Or is their feeling like, uh, like, are they not enjoying, or are they, feeling captivated Have you ever thought? So please put down your thoughts regarding this. And then we will see this poem. We have divided this poem into two sessions. First session is this session. We are going to analyze the poem. We will see the important word meanings, that is the vocabulary section, and also some of the important questions. Along with that, we are going to have the second session would be on Menti and doubts. So whatever doubts you will post in today's session will be definitely taken up in the next session. That would be Menti. So do not come to the Menti quiz without going through the video. Because if you go through the video and then come to the Menti quiz, then that would be your comprehensive preparation for your exam. Right? So let's begin. Now, first of all, yes, before beginning with the session, actually, before reading out the lines of the poem to you, I would show you some pictures. Only pictures, no writing, no text, nothing, just pictures. And I will also not speak anything about those pictures. Okay. I would suggest, like, I would, be glad if you see the pictures and put down your thoughts in the comment section regarding what do you understand from the pictures that have been shown, right? And then at the end, we will discuss about the pictures as well, right? When we analyze the poem, we will talk about the pictures that I'm going to show you. So look at the pictures very carefully. I'm going to show you 2 to 3, I think 3 or 4 pictures we have, right? Please look at the pictures thoroughly, like carefully. First picture, look at it, okay? Look at it carefully. Next picture. I'm not going to say anything. Just look, have a look. Third picture. And the last picture. So these were the 4 pictures. What have you understood from these pictures? Why do you think I'm showing you these pictures? Please put down your thoughts in the comment section. And now we will begin with the poem. I'm also going to read out some lines of the poem, right? So the first stanza says, he stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage on pads of velvet quiet, in his quiet rage. So this is the very first stanza in which the poet is describing a tiger in a zoo, as you can see over here as well. So in zoo, you have already seen, if you have visited zoo, that the animals are enclosed in a limited space. They are confined in a limited space, right? Similarly, over here, the poet is saying that the tigers, sorry, one second. Ek minute. Yeah. So the tiger over here, he's saying that the poet is saying that the tiger is, first of all, he's describing the tiger. He's creating a vivid imagery of the tiger. The tiger is in his vivid stripes, right? Vivid means picturesque. So as soon as you listen to these words, vivid stripes, you can almost visualize a picture of a tiger in his bright yellow color, having black stripes on the body, right? And what is he doing? He is just moving few steps on the cage. Why? Because the cage has a limited space. He cannot move freely, right? On pads of velvet quiet, the padded feet of the tiger are, made of like that is compared to a velvet, because the padded feet of a tiger is very soft. It's like velvet. So here you have the figure of speech metaphor, right? In his quiet rage. Again, you see the poet has repeated the word quiet. Pads of velvet quiet and quiet rage. So although the tiger is in a rage as in anger. So of course, tiger is a ferocious animal. It has anger. That is a very characteristic feature of a tiger. But in a cage, how is it behaving? He becomes very quiet. Although he is, having this rage inside him, anger inside him, but he's not able to express that because he is in a confined and enclosed space, right? So that is how he is describing in the very first stanza a tiger in the zoo. Now the question that I want you to answer is, how does the tiger behave in cage, that is inside the zoo? So yes, I'm looking forward to see you answer the questions, come up with your innovative answers. Next is the second stanza in which he is, okay, describing the tiger. Wait 1 second, let me take out the poem. Yes. Uh, in wild, in jungle, right? He should be, yeah, 1 second. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the water hole where plump deer pass. So this is the second stanza. So in which he's describing the actual life of a tiger in its like having all its essential features. So what is a tiger? Like how does a tiger behave naturally? It is naturally a ferocious animal. It hunts its prey down, right? It lives in a jungle and it, lurks behind the, lurks in the shadow behind the tall grasses, right? Lurks means hiding, right? So it hides behind the tall grasses in search of a prey. So the moment he actually sees its prey, and who's the prey that the poet is talking about? A plump deer. Where is it? Near the water hole. Okay, plump is, having great flesh, like fat. Okay, that's plump. Then he says he should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. Now, before proceeding further, I would like all of you to answer one simple question. Do you think that the animals should be kept in a zoo? You have visited zoo, right? Do you think that the animals should be kept in a zoo? Maybe in order to protect them or any reason. Do you think so? Please do comment in the chat box. And now we will move to the second stanza. In the second stanza, the poet says that the actual life of a tiger, yes, so I already told you that it should catch its prey, and then next is the question that I want you to answer in this from the second stanza is, how is the tiger described in the jungle? Okay. And next he says that if suppose the tiger is set free, he is in the jungle, what is his real characteristic feature? He would definitely show his real characteristic feature, that is he would have snarled around the houses located at the outskirts. So, suppose he's not getting a prey, right, in the jungle, he would move at the edges of the jungle, towards the edges at the outskirts of the forest, and he would snarl, he would roar ferociously, right? Like the picture you are seeing already, like in the picture. So, he would terrorize the people of the nearby villages with his sharp tooth and claws. So you can see over here that the poet is actually creating a sharp contrast between a tiger in an enclosed area like zoo where he is caged, and in the second stanza he's talking about a tiger in the wild. So the tiger, who is known for his ferocity, who is known for his, anger, rage, right? He in a zoo, when he is, mm, captivated, enclosed in a limited space, what is he like? He becomes a diminished feature. Not only his activities, not only his activities are limited, but also his strength is, uh, his strength is also not shown. it's not exhibited. His strength also remains hidden. He is not able to express himself freely, right? As he would have done in his home, that is jungle. Next, let's have a look at the vocabulary part. Snarling is warning sounds made by animals, roaring, okay? Bearing is uncovered. Fangs means sharp tooth of the tigers, of animals. Here it's talking about the tiger. And then we will see in the next stanza what is the poet trying to say. One second. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Now you can see very well that when he is confined in a strong cell, okay, sorry, I left out the previous paragraph, previous stanza where he says that he is locked in a concrete cell. His strength behind the bars, stalking the length of the cage, ignoring visitors. That was the stanza after that. So there he says that when he is behind the bars in a concrete cell, what is happening over here is his ferocity, his strength gets diminished. He is becoming a diminutive figure, right? He is just stalking in his cage, moving around in his cage in that limited area. And he never tries to terrorize the visitors. Why? Because he is in a restricted area. He knows that he does not have the power, right? So this powerful animal is now just an animal who is in a pitiful state. So that is what the poet is trying to show by creating a sharp contrast between a tiger in the village and the tiger in the restricted environment of the cage. So everything is restricted, his movement is restricted, he is constantly disturbed by the visitors whom he ignores, right? So everything is against his wish. He has no control over his life, over his activities within the limited area of that cage. Next, he says, he hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. This is a very touching line, the last two lines especially. So the poet says that even at the night, the tiger is constantly disturbed by the patrolling cars, the noise of the patrolling cars. He stares at the stars shining with his stars which are shining with his eyes. So his eyes, with his brilliant eyes, he looks at the stars. Perhaps because the stars give him, a kind of solace, comfort, because the stars are also a part of the nature, right? And most probably it also serves as a connecting link between his home in the jungle and the cage, because that is the only one thing which is common in both the cases, right? So he stares at the stars, maybe to divert his thoughts, or maybe he receives some kind of solace, some kind of comfort when he looks at the stars above him, and he longs to go back to the place where he was free, where he could live freely, where he had that power, where he had that strength. And now this creature, the tiger, who actually was an animal, who deserved our admiration, who deserved our awe, is now reduced to a state of nothing more than pity. So he is reduced to a pitiful state. This animal, who otherwise would have been a king in his own place, is now just reduced to a powerless, helpless creature who asks for who is actually in a pitiful state. So this is how the poet is constantly creating a sharp contrast and throwing a light on the pitiful state of animals who are caged, who are actually um, stripped off from their freedom. Right. So I asked you one question before we started the session about what do you feel, like not before we started, but after I, initiated the first stanza, after I taught you the first stanza, I asked you one question that do you think that animals should be kept in zoo? So after going through the entire poem, has your thought changed? Have your thoughts changed? Or do you still think that animals should be kept in a zoo? So now we will talk about, do comment that. Okay. So now we will talk about the literary devices used in the poem. First is the rhyme scheme. Rhyme scheme is A, B, C, B. And then we have enjambment in the lines which says sliding through and then deer pass, because the line is continuing in the next line, the punctuation mark is not used. Then we also have alliteration at the start of the two words, that is plump pass. So P, the sound P is, being repeated. So that is alliteration. Imagery, when I talked about the vivid stripes, that was an imagery. Then when he described the tiger lurking behind the shadow, hiding behind the shadow, that was also an imagery. So imagery is basically when you can almost picturize the image of the tiger in your mind. Onomatopoeia, when the poet uses the word snarl, so that is the sound created by the tiger, that is a sound word, hence its onomatopoeia. Assonance is use of the vowel sound O and I. Okay, so you can see over here, should around houses. So O is repeated. Again, bearing his white, the vowel sound I is repeated. Then we have consonants in his, fangs, claws. So over here you can see S is repeated, and the repetition is not at the beginning of the syllable, right? If it would have been at the beginning of the syllable, then it would have been alliteration. But since it is not in the first syllable, hence that is consonants. And of course, personification. The tiger has been personified. Human qualities have been attributed to tiger. Question for you from the last stanza. What does the tiger do at night in cage? And vocabulary again. Concrete is building made of brick, cement, sand and water. And patrolling means to guard or to vigil. And this is a very important question. Why does the tiger look at the stars? Very, very, very important. When I was actually explaining you those lines, these two lines are an oft-quoted lines, and that can definitely come in your exam. So please do answer this question. And another very important question from this, which also you can say encapsulates the theme of the poem very well, is the contrast between the tiger in the zoo and the tiger in the wild, okay, in the poem. So as you know that in the tiger, when he is talking about a tiger in the zoo, we are talking about the restrictive atmosphere that he gets. Okay, so we are snatching away his freedom. So you remember I showed you some pictures initially when I started with the chapter, when I started with the poem. I showed you some pictures and I said I am not going to say anything about the pictures, right? You are going to put down your thoughts. Now it is time for us to discuss about the pictures as well. So when I started the picture, showed you the picture, you had seen that I showed you a fish in an aquarium. And I showed you the picture of a parrot, that is a bird inside a cage. And the third picture was about a pigeon who was set free. Okay. And the fourth picture was about the recent pandemic, actually, where we are, entrapped in our, in a lockdown situation. And the animals, they have nothing to fear So they are completely free, and it's called the vicious cycle of karma. So when we are actually snatching away the rights of the animals, their freedom, we do not think about their feelings. Now, when we had been in a lockdown situation, we could very well understand that what happens when we are locked, even though we are locked in our own house, but you can very well feel the kind of frustration. You're not allowed to go out. So think about the animals. Think about those birds whom you cage, whom you put inside your cage, just for the sake of, maybe beautifying your home, or the aquarium that you place so beautifully in order to decorate your home. Have you thought about the fishes who are there trapped within the enclosed space? If you are keeping a goldfish inside that round bowl in the aquarium, did you ever think that this fish deserves its, free space which is there in the sea? Its place is not in the aquarium in your house. It's not meant for satisfying or gratifying our lust, right? It's just, it deserves freedom. It has fins. God has given them fins to swim, and we are restricting them in an atmosphere, in a limited atmosphere, limited space of that round, small round ball. No matter how big your aquarium is, it cannot equal the size of the ocean or the sea or the river, right? The fishes are meant for that, not for the aquarium. So we are giving them an artificial space, but that too is too restrictive, too small. Again, when we cage the birds, do we ever think that it is actually meant for, they have wings so that they can fly, not to gratify your whims and fancies, and not to decorate your home, not to just, like parrots you keep so that, like, whatever you say, it is going to repeat, right? But have you thought that it is also meant for flying, and you are kind of restricting that freedom? What if someone does the same to you? So you can very well feel right now when we are all locked down, right? So we need to give the animals their freedom. We are no one to snatch away their freedom. Just try to empathize with them. Try to put yourself in their shoes and think, how would you feel if the same thing happens to you, if you are not allowed to go anywhere? So even if the, the bars of the cages are made of gold, the bird inside that would never be happy. Right. So here in the poem, constantly the poet is trying to draw our attention to that place. So if we are trapping someone inside the zoo, even the we are restricting the animal. We are, we are not allowing them to actually have their own original features. Right. So that is why the poet is constantly creating a contrast. So if it is in a normal habitat, he is enjoying himself, he is living his life on his own way. We would all love to live our life on our own way, not in somebody else, not according to somebody else's terms. Would we like, would we enjoy our life if someone dictates us constantly? No, right? Same goes for the animals. All living creatures deserve freedom. Freedom is very important, be it for humans or be it for animals. So we just now read a story about freedom, right? About Nelson Mandela. So he struggled so long for achieving that freedom. Why? Because freedom is important. Freedom is one of our fundamental rights. But do we think about the rights of these animals, these voiceless creatures? So the least that we can do in this regard is we can definitely stop keeping a bird inside a cage or fishes inside the aquarium. The least that we can do. So I hope you have understood the poem and carried with you a message of change. So please be the change that you want to see in the world, right? With this positive note, I would like to end today's session, and do comment in the comment section about what do you think is a better alternative for protecting wild animals. Zoo, where he's kept in a restrictive atmosphere, or sanctuaries where you are protecting the animals, but at the same time you are not snatching away their freedom and giving them a good alternative, where you are also giving them providing them their second home, almost like their home. You know how wildlife sanctuaries are. They have huge areas, they have huge cover, forest cover, right? So please do write your answers, post your answers. Thank you so much. I hope I am able to bring in some positive thoughts, and I am able to influence you to, go for a change and be the change that you want to see. And yes, do not forget to share your love by hitting the like button, putting your comments, and of course, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so that you can get all the notifications. Thank you so much. Bye bye. Take care. See you in the next session.